Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the 1687th meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District. May I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Trustee Kistner.
Present.
Trustee Wabi. Do we still have you, Trustee Wabi?
Trustee Wabi, please unmute yourself.
I am muted. Hello?
Okay, hello, we heard you. We're just doing a roll call.
Hello, I'm here.
Thank you. Trustee Watson.
Yes.
All right, we do not have Trustee Evans yet. Trustee Nicholasison?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I get approval or a motion to approve the journal of the preceding meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Any objections? With no objections, the journal is approved. I have no comments. Report of the board committees, Program Management Committee, Ms. Trustee Kishner.
All right, good evening. This is the Program Management Committee report. The Program Management Committee met on April 29th, 2025 at 7:30 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Wilson, Nicholasison, Evans, Watson, with myself and Trustee Wabi online. I called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the April 1, 2025 Program Management meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced at the May 8th, 2025 Board of Trustees meeting were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance numbers 16583 and 16584. Staff provided details of two CSO volume reduction green infrastructure grants being awarded to Washington University and Pagedale Town Center Homes for construction of various volume reducing facilities. The projects will reduce combined sewer overflows to the River Des Peres for the CSO long-term control plan. Ordinance number 16585. Staff discussed an unplanned supplemental appropriation for the Clark Avenue Sanitary Relief Project currently under construction by Keeley Construction. Additional costs for the project were due to added Class A rock excavation and additional pavement restoration caused by numerous utility relocations. Ordinance numbers 16590 through 16592. Staff reviewed the details and bid information for 3 construction projects bid over the past month. These ordinances will authorize contracts and appropriate the necessary funds for the projects. There was a discussion between staff and Trustee Kistner regarding the one bid received for the Lime ORS SCADA PLC project. I inquired whether staff investigated why we received only one bid or if other contractors were interested. Mr. Unverfurth was unaware of the number of plan holders for this project or if there was outreach post-bid. The district does reach out prior to bidding with pre-bid meetings and notifications. Mr. Unverfurth indicated this was a specialty electrical and communications project with a significant amount of subcontracting work. Projects such as this typically do not generate the bid interest of our more standard sewer or plant projects. Ordinance number 16593. Staff discussed the emergency appropriation and contract authorization for emergency repair number 077. This project will repair an existing combined sewer located at Cass and 18th Street in the city of St. Louis. It was declared an emergency on April 22 by the executive director. There was a discussion between staff and the board regarding causes of failure and plans in place to mitigate similar events into the future. Mr. Unverfurth then discuss the district's ongoing inspection and rehabilitation programs. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for June 3rd, 2025. The meeting was adjourned at 7:55 a.m. This concludes the Program Management Board comments report.
Yes. Finance Committee Board Comments Report. The Finance Committee met on April 29, 2025 at 7:57 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Evans, Wilson, Nicholasison, and Watson with Trustees Kistner and Wabi online. Chairperson Evans called roll and had no further comments. The meetings of April 1st, 2025 Finance Committee meeting were approved. The minutes, sorry. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed. Proposed ordinance number 16596, fiscal year 2026 budget appropriations. This ordinance authorizes the district to expend funds during fiscal year 26 for wastewater and stormwater operations. The request appropriations total $549.2 million. Requests for appropriations relating to the district's capital program will be brought to the board throughout the year as funding is needed for the projects. Proposed ordinance number 16595, 2025 tax levy for the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District and its various sub-districts. This ordinance approves the tax rates to be applied to customers' real and personal property assessments within the corporate limits of the City of St. Louis, St. Louis County, and various sub-districts to produce revenues required for operation and infrastructure projects relating to the district's stormwater program. Resolution number 3955, transfer of fund balance. This resolution authorizes the district to close Stormwater Revenue Fund 3307. This fund is not being used as the district no longer bills the stormwater charges that were previously posted to it. Resolution number 3954, Internal Audit Services Contract Renewal. This resolution enables the district to exercise the third of 4 one-year options for internal audit services provided by Armino LLP. Other items discussed during the committee meeting included the following. Director of Finance, Marion G. gave a presentation which outlined the differences between the preliminary fiscal year 26 budget and the revised budget that will be introduced this evening. Marion stated that the district's revenue and expense requirements decreased by $37.7 million. He then presented the Quarterly Adjustment Review Committee reported as required by ordinance. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Joshua Beeks then reviewed the district's operating fund portfolio as of April 24, 2025. He indicated that the portfolio is in compliance with the district's investment policy. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. The meeting was adjourned at 8:22 a.m. This concludes the Finance Committee Board Comments Report.
Thank you, Trustee Nichols. Would you read the Stakeholder Relations Committee?
Yes, I will. Stakeholder Relation Committee's meeting board comments report. The Stakeholder Relation Committee met at district headquarters on April 29, 2025 at 8:25 a.m. The meeting was attended by myself, Chairperson Nichols, and Trustees Evans, Watson, and Wilson. Trustees Kistner and Wabi participated online. I called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the April 1st, 2025 Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting were voted on and approved. The first agenda item was a discussion by Jenny Keenstra regarding an ordinance for a diversity compliance management application. This ordinance will authorize an appropriation to be used for the development, implementation, and hypercare support services for a new diversity compliance monitoring application with Ameritech Solutions. The current application is being sunset by its vendor and will no longer be supported. The district issued a new request for proposal, RFP, for the custom development of an application to meet the district's requirements. The evaluation team determined that Ameritech Solutions was most responsive and suitable to provide the required services. This is ordinance number 16596 on the May board agenda. The next item was a presentation by Jay Hoskins regarding rain events that occurred in the MSD service area April 2nd through April 6th, 2025. Jay began by illustrating the areas that were most affected by the rainstorms moving through the service area between those dates. He provided metrics on the service requests, water backups, general flooding, flooded buildings, and manhole overflows reported by MSD's operations department. Jay then provided information regarding the MSD engineering department's ongoing evaluation and detailed data review most post-rain event, including Walking Coldwater Creek, and major tributary sewers. There is no board action required at this time. The next agenda item was a presentation by Jenny Keenstra and Jason Stockman for the Information Technology Annual Information Security Overview. Jenny began by discussing organizational changes within the informational technology, IT, and operational technology, OT, departments to capitalize on synergies between both departments to achieve most effective utilization of staff, address cybersecurity audit items, expand scope of management, and support the OT technology roadmap. Jenny then discussed the district's AI strategy and governance actions taking place during fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025, as well as plans for fiscal year 2026. Next, Jason Stockman gave an update on the district security rating as computed by BitSight, a cybersecurity company that analyzes companies, government agencies, and educational institutions. MSD continues to rate in the advanced range with a score of 740. Jason then discussed MSD's IT phishing program, results, and plans for continuing enhancements and improvements to the program. There was discussion about further efforts that could be taken to improve compliance, and IT will follow up. Jenny and Jason advised the trustees that they will continue to keep the board informed on emerging technologies and improvements. There is no board action required at this time. The next agenda item was a discussion by Todd Ashbacher regarding ordinances for the district's risk and liability insurance coverage. Ordinance numbers 16597 through 16613 will authorize MSD to proceed with insurance to provide financial protection from catastrophic losses and damages from policy and dictated events and claims for the period of January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. At approximately 9:10 a.m., I, Chairperson Nick Ozisson, made a motion to move the meeting in a closed session to discuss personal actions under Section 610.021.3 RSMO. At approximately 10:11 a.m., I, Chairperson Nick Ozisson, made a motion to return the meeting to open session. The meeting was adjourned at approximately 10:12 a.m. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for June 3rd, 2025.
Thank you, Trustee Nicholson. Mr. President, is there a report from the Executive Director?
Mr. Chairman, there is not this month. Thank you.
Thank you. We have several comments from the public. I would like to remind everyone about the rules for the public comment period. We ask that members of the public who wish to make comments keep their comments to 5 minutes. Also, if a group has come to speak on the same topic, we ask that they select a spokesperson for the group. If a member of the public has questions for MSD, we ask that the questions are presented in writing so that MSD can research and respond properly. I would like to thank the public for their cooperation. First, Nikki Burton. Good morning, Ms. Burton.
Hi, how are you today? Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Excuse me. Well, put my timer on because I want to be respectful of your rules and regulations as far as time is concerned. Myself and my neighbors have been here several times, kind of dealing with the same issue, and unfortunately kind of touched on something earlier today during the minutes about the overcharge on April 4th that took place. We are the same community. We've got support from our local government that have been dealing with this issue since I've been in my home for 27 years. So I'm 3 years away from paying my house off. It's always an overcharge. It's gotten worse over the last few years, mostly because 2016, we've noticed it in its entirety of it kind of coming up. We call MSD, they come out, the technicians come out. It's all, I equate it to a bathtub. Basically, they pop the switch and then the water goes down. That could be anywhere from a few hours all the way to the next day. I know this particular time, we had it happen in November. It took them a while, of course, because there were several storms around the area to get through. This time, it came up about 4-something, 4:45 in the afternoon. So as I had taken a business trip, was tired, the rains were coming, it was a Friday afternoon. I don't know what you guys were doing. I was relaxing, only to go downstairs, throw a load in, and I see water literally coming up and bubbling up out the drain. So what do? I call MSD, I let them know they're coming out. They got there, I checked it around 3-something, the water was still sitting there because it goes nowhere. So it just sits like a bathtub, a cesspool. And let's be honest, it's not water. We're all adults, we're all grown. It's shit. It's shit and it's toxic waste from my neighbors, myself, because when I use the restroom, it doesn't go out because it's blocked, it comes back. So that is where we are. So we go down in our basement. I checked it a little after 5 and it had gone down. And then you're left with this sludge. After we had just gotten to a point where we had cleaned out the basement and did drywall and done all of these things, it's been impactful. So I don't want to sit and pontificate about what we already have talked about and what we already know. I kind of want to go over the facts. There's a problem with the overcharge system. I've talked with my local mayor, who is James Thomas. He agrees. He's actually been in talks with one of your representatives. I believe his name is Sean. Florissant is having the same issues. So Mary Tommy Lowry is having the same issues. And I've been talking with one of his representatives, Steve, and they are having the same issue. And it's the overcharge system. We know that it's not every one of your overcharge systems throughout your units, because then there'd be flooding everywhere. But there are some that are clearly defaulting, whether it's aged out, whether it's the amount of water that it's processing, something is tripping it where it's not functioning properly. And that is the issue. So when it comes back, whether you've got a backflow preventer, which I do have one now, but water still comes up. And that's something that I've talked with Ethan. There is no guarantee. We need to fix the ultimate problem. Those are the facts. We all have lung issues. That's not something that's a coincidence. Myself, I was doing well, went to the doctor in March, and there's like, yep, you're doing really well. I'm on a medicine that has my hair shedding. I've weight gained. I have a rash. It tears your body up. It fixes one problem, but then you get 5 other problems as a result of that. Go to the doctor on Friday. He said, your lungs are impacted. Again, what's different from the last time that you were here? We were ready to take you off of this medication. Wow, lo and behold, we had the backup on 4/4. So now my blood has been taken to the Mayo Clinic because they want to do a couple things and find out and figure out, one, what kind of toxin that I've ingested into my body, and what kind of mold has come. We've done everything. I have spent so much money doing mold studies and sending them off to labs. I can't do anymore. I've replaced my HVAC system last May, only to have the motherboard get wet this time, so $580. That's happened. I had to get a brand new washing machine because the water, of course, if you can imagine, it impacts all of that, so that's rusted out. That happened this past week. And Spire came out a month ago and said, yeah, you're rusting out on your water heater. I'll be replacing that soon. So it's just not about the water coming up. And we all know what it is. It's just not regular water. It's toxic. It's putrid. My basement still smells. It's almost inhabitable. When I go down to my basement to simply throw a load in, I have to wear a mask. My neighbors, they have respiratory issues. His wife has lung issues. My other neighbor on the other side, she has respiratory issues. It's not a coincidence. Something is going on. They know it. I've talked to your techs that have said the lines are coming right to your homes. That's where they were designed years ago. We have nothing to do with that. That was before we got there. That was before we purchased our homes. But there's clearly an issue. It should not overcharge, and it should not overcharge this frequently. And that's been the issue. Some of the other things that have really just been going on is the fact that we have talked to our leadership, and they are our local leadership, and they have said they identify that it's a problem. They've talked to your engineers, but they can't come to a consensus because they can't do anything because they don't own your systems. We don't own your systems. If something is broken in my home, I get it fixed. You tell me what I need to do, and I do it. I can't fix your systems. I can't make that happen. But what it is challenging to us is that I've got a picture of my home. It's not the best. It's mine. I keep my lawn. We keep our lawns together. We've got our mulch and flowers and things. Looks great on the outside. Looks good on the inside until you go downstairs. I've got pictures, if you guys would like to see, of quite a bit of water that came up in a very short amount of time. One, with the water physically coming and bubbling up out of your sewer lines. When we talk to the techs that come out, they say, yeah, it's an overcharged system. Thomas McGee acknowledges it's an overcharged system. So everyone's on the same page that it's MSD's overcharged system that's responsible for bringing this water, this toxic sludge, into our homes. But nobody can agree on how to fix it. My local leadership is at a stalemate. They want to help us. They want to support us. But again, they can't do anything if it's your systems. They said, we can't touch that. That's not us. We can only control what we can control. The same thing that we say. We want to stay in our homes. I'm 3 years away from paying my house off. What do I do with that? So do I choose my life, my health, which is deteriorating, or do I choose to have a roof overhead and just live in, when you want to say it, subpar positions? Because who wants to live with human waste? Can you imagine what that's like? Can you imagine what that cleanup is like? And I pay someone to get the bulk of it, but I still have to go down there, throw things away, sanitize. I came from an event yesterday and I went downstairs and mopped. That'll be what I'm doing now, to even get it where I feel safe to even walk on the floors. That's not something that anyone, and we're not living in a third world country, should have to deal with. All I want to do is live in my neighborhood with my neighbors in a house that is not inhabited by human waste. And that's, to me, my soundbite is, what would the soundbites look like if we said MSD is literally spoon feeding its customers human waste, poison? What would that sound like? What would people think? But that's what's happening in our neighborhood, and just not our neighborhood. Florissant is experiencing the same thing. I can't speak for them. I know what they're going through because the gentleman I talked to even expressed that he had concerns because his own basement was flooded. I only know about what's happening in my neighborhood with my neighbors that's impacting our health. And now it's coming to a critical point where we have to do something before we all are on breathing machines. And that's not right for something that's not in our control. So that is why I am here. That is why he is here, to employ you. Figure this out. We just want to live in our homes. We pay you. I voted for the initiative because I figured it would help. We got money, revenue generating. Yes, let's vote for this. We got behind you and supported when you said we will make a difference. We have not seen that difference in our neighborhood, and that's not fair for us that we have. I'm sure your homes are beautiful and you do not have to worry about going down with a literal respirator mask when you go to simply go downstairs to throw a load in or just to grab something. And it's not fair that we have to live with that also. Thank you for your time.
Gauge your situation, and I've asked the staff to not necessarily respond now, but we'd look for.
Sure.
No, but if you have, you brought the pictures, if you would like to leave those, and if your neighbor has anything, okay. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you hearing us. We know we can come to some kind of resolution. It's about having those conversations and getting to a point where we get this resolved. And it's behind us, over the bridge, and we've all, kind of moved on and can live out our lives. But we can't do that as it stands right now. It physically is taxing on us. And so some changes definitely have to be made, hopefully sooner than later, because it's habitually getting worse. And as we all know, and you more so than me because you deal with this on a daily, the storms are not getting any easier. They're getting more volatile and they're increasing. And that's every time we hear excessive rains, I get PTSD. I'm constantly assessing. I don't sleep. I'm going down and looking in my basement. I'm listening for my sump pump, which I have a pretty nice sump pump. So it shuts it down. That's how much water comes up. We just need a resolution, and we need your help. We implore your help to
We
get
certainly
this done.
intend to address this issue and hopefully in a way that can resolve it sooner than later.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Mr. Couch.
Man, it's hard to go behind her. I know what y'all talking about, shoot. But my name is Couch Kelso. I have the same issue that she have, and it's no fun of. I walk through the water, you know. I have on boots. I tries my best to see where it's coming from. Now I see it coming through my wall. The lower part of my wall is coming up. I had pictures that is up to my top. The top second steps in my home, and I don't know what to do half the time. You know, I clean. I try to keep my dogs from going down there. I do what I have to do, you know, to keep it going. You know, and it's just a big issue. Like she said, you know, we do everything we can, you know, to try to maintain our home. I've been there over 20 years myself. You know, and I remember the first year I got in there, you know, I had a lacquer down in my basement, you know, and it's like next thing you know, I seen water come up, you know, so that tells me that before I bought the home, it was already happening. You know, so I walked into something that already was going on, you know, so it just don't make any sense, you know, that I went through this, like I said, ever since I've been there. From the year I've been up to now, you know, I be getting water, you know. And matter of fact, on the just passed, I had called, you know, on the 4th of April, you know, that I had another flood, you know, and that's after you guys had put that thing in my yard, you know. And on the 7th, MSD was out there. And I didn't know who was out there. I thought I let my dogs out on them, but I looked. I thought, oh, no, it's MSD out there, you know. So they were digging around the drain. They were doing something in there. I don't know what they was doing. You know, they was pulling something up by a string or something, you know. But I just got the videos on it. I don't have a copy of it or nothing like that, you know. But they stayed out there for about an hour or something like that, you know. And so, but we still get rainwater, you know. And then I heard something that when I called MSD and they come back to me and respond saying that, well, they didn't open up their drains. You know, how do I feel that, you know, if we didn't open up your drain, you know, it's going to happen over and over again, regardless if we do get it fixed. You know, so it's just a going on issue, you know, that what we have, you know, and like you said, you know, it should stop, you know. I do not like living that way, you know. I do not like staying there. I know I used to stay in the basement and stuff like that, you know, and I know the sound when I hear something coming up, bloop, bloop, out there it come. I got to move out, baby. I got to throw stuff on the bed. Got to throw stuff on the couch. I just got to kind of put stuff, you know, in a place to where it won't get wet. You know, I constantly did this over 20 years. That stuff hurts, man. You know, go to work, come home, you know, I got to put on boots and go down my basement, see the water going down. You know, I don't know how many of you guys got this problem, one or maybe none, you know, but this is just something that we shouldn't have to go through as living in Bear Fountain. You know, it's something that you guys should rectify and straighten up, or somebody should straighten it up, you know, somebody, you know, and it's just not right, you know, for no human being to walk through that kind of water. I just got out of the hospital last week, you know, tightness on my chest. My lungs is open up a little bit more, you know, just all kind of stuff, you know, want to keep me in the hospital, you know, and just all of a sudden I retired and all this stuff going on with me, you know. So I've been inhaling this stuff ever since I've been in that home. I was fine when I left somewhere else, but it's just that it should stop. You know, we don't need this. I want to live as much as I can.
Mr. Couch, I'm hearing the same story, and we certainly I empathize, and we're going to do what we can do to try to stop this. The staff we'll get reports back from the staff as to what has been done or what is being done or what the plan is to ameliorate the situation.
Okay, I know we missed a month or something, didn't show up. We trying to give, time and, issues and stuff like that. I know, like you said, everybody, a little flooded out here, a little flooded out there and stuff like that, and it's just that I got two things here that I had called, for some paperwork for my flooding, and this guy named Steve, I never could talk to him. I called Kansas City. I called everywhere, trying to see, where they send me out some paperwork or whatever. And come to find out, it's he shot it towards the drive, instead of the usually, call me on the phone, say, okay, we're gonna send you some paperwork out. Stuff like he fill it out, pictures, stuff, send it back in. It didn't happen. So I got two claims right here, that have nothing been done about it, period. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's just a going on issue, that we should, rectify. But I hear you guys saying that, you're going to, try your best or whatever, we trying our best.
Okay. Do you mind getting with Brian McGowan, our Director of Operations, so he understands the claim issue or what's going on with that, so we can make sure that that's rectified?
Yeah, Brian, who?
Yeah, Brian's right there, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Couch.
Holidays, happy Mother's Day to you. Hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any communications, Mr. Treasurer?
There are none.
Then you have the balance.
All right, yep, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight, the consent agenda is items 10 through 25. Is there any board member who would like to pull an item for a separate vote? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Kistner.
Oh, aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, consent agenda is adopted. We'll move on. We have one item actually in unfinished business. This is a resolution that was pulled from last month's agenda. It is item 26, the adoption of resolution number 3951 to exercise option year 1 of a contract previously authorized by ordinance 16354, adopted May 9, 2024, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Missouri.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, now we'll move on to new business, starting with ordinances and item 27, the introduction of ordinance number 16583, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Washington University for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure 6262 Olive Boulevard project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 28, introduction of ordinance number 16584, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Pagedale Town Center Homes LLC for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Pagedale Town Center Homes LLC project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson? Mr. Watson? I'm going to move on. Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Wilson?
I'm sorry, Tim. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nicholson, yes. Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 29, introduction of ordinance number 16585, a supplemental appropriation of $100,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Clark Avenue Sanitary Relief Project in the city of Webster Groves. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 30 is the introduction of ordinance number 16586, a supplemental appropriation of $1.7 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for storm sewer construction in the Harlem City Shed Mitigation Basin Separation Sewers project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Item 31, introduction of ordinance number 16587, a supplemental appropriation of $2,925,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Normandy Sanitary Relief Project in the cities of Pagedale, Belnora, and the village of Hanley Hills. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Item 32, introduction of ordinance number 16588, a supplemental appropriation of $1.5 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for construction management services in the Lower Merrimack wastewater treatment facility expansion phase 2 project in unincorporated St. Louis County and authorizing the district to amend a contract with KAI 360 Construction Services. Motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Item 33, introduction of ordinance number 16589, a supplemental appropriation of $110,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for engineering during construction phase services in the L51 pump station force main improvements project in the city of Maryland Heights and unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to amend a contract with M3 Engineering, PC, Group PC. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 34 is the introduction of ordinance number 16590, appropriating $5 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer rehabilitation and infrastructure repairs Contract B projects in the city of St. Louis and various municipalities in St. Louis County and unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Insituform Technologies USA. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 35, introduction of ordinance number 16591, appropriating $2.2 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for pump station improvements in the Lime ORS SCADA PLC and telemetry upgrades project in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Corrigan Company. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 36, introduction of ordinance number 16592, appropriating $3.87 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Watkins Spanish Sanitary Relief Project in unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Understall Contracting. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 37 is the introduction and adoption of ordinance number 16593. This will appropriate $1 million from the emergency fund to be used for emergency repair in the emergency repair number 077, Cass Avenue and 18th Street project in the city of St. Louis, and authorize the district to enter into a contract with Gershenson Construction Company. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is item 38, introduction of ordinance number 16594. This is repealing and superseding ordinance 16394, adopted June 13, 2024, making appropriations for the current expenses of the district in the general fund, the water backup insurance and reimbursement fund, the general insurance fund, the sanitary replacement fund, the stormwater operations, maintenance, and construction improvement funds, the emergency funds, the debt service funds, and the wastewater revenue bond service funds for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, amounting in the aggregate to $549,229,869, pay interest falling due on bonds issued, the cost of support operations and maintenance of the district and its various sub-districts and emergencies, and shall state the district's objectives for the succeeding 5 years and include objective targets by which to measure the district's performance in meeting these objectives in accordance with the requirements of this proposed ordinance to be introduced May 8th, 2025. Is there a motion for introduction?
Second?
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 39, introduction of ordinance number 16595. This will repeal ordinance 16460 adopted September 25th, 2024, and enact a new ordinance in lieu thereof by determining the amount of taxes which shall be levied, assessed, and collected in the year 2025 on all taxable tangible property or residential taxable tangible property, as the case may be, in the district within the corporate limits of the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County, respectively, and in sub-districts within the corporate limits of St. Louis County as follows: Coldwater Creek Trunk Subdistrict, Graveway Creek Trunk Subdistrict, Moline Creek Trunk Subdistrict, Watkins Creek Trunk Subdistricts, Subdistrict number 89, Subdistrict number 342, Subdistrict number 366, Subdistrict number 367, Subdistrict number 369, Subdistrict number 448, Subdistrict number 449, Subdistrict number 454, Subdistrict number 455, Subdistrict number 1 of the River de Pere watershed, and Subdistrict number 7 of the River de Pere watershed. And the Board of Trustees, in accordance with Charter Section 7.310, authorizes the Director of Finance to certify as to the amount of taxes which shall be levied, assessed, and collected within the corporate limits of the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County, and for the aforementioned subdistricts. Is there a motion for introduction?
Second.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson? Yes. Item 40, we have another introduction and adoption. This is of ordinance 16596, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Amatech Solutions, whereby Amatech will develop and implement a new diversity compliance management application for the district. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, so for items 41 through 57, these are all ordinances, introduction of ordinances. Oh, I did the introduction, I did not do the adoption, I apologize. Do I hear an objection to suspension of the rule? Thank you, Wendy. Hearing none for item 40, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Kistner?
Aye.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, now, for items 41 through 57, which are all introduction of ordinances to award contracts or authorizing the district to procure insurance for coverages from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, or July 1st, 2026, with Thomas McGee as agent. I would like to group those and just take one vote at the end. Is there any objection to that?
No.
Item 41 is the introduction of ordinance number 16597, which would award a contract to FM Global Insurance Company for the district's property and boiler and machinery insurance company and flood and earth movement coverage. Item 42 is the introduction of ordinance number 16598, awarding a contract to Missouri Public Entity Risk Management Fund, known as MOPERM, for the district's combined liability insurance coverage. Item 43 is the introduction of ordinance number 16599, awarding a contract to the Phoenix Insurance Company for the district's auto liability insurance program coverage. Item 44 is the introduction of ordinance number 16600, awarding a contract to Ace American Insurance Company for the district's public official excess liability coverage. Item 45 is the introduction of ordinance number 16601, awarding a contract to Princeton Excess Insurance and Surplus Lines Insurance Company for the district's excess umbrella liability insurance first layer coverage. Item 46 is the introduction of ordinance number 16602 to award a contract to Gemini for the district's excess umbrella liability insurance second layer coverage. Item 47 is the introduction of ordinance number 16603, awarding a contract to HDI Global Specialty SC for the district's excess umbrella liability insurance third layer coverage. Item 48 is the introduction of ordinance number 16604, awarding a contract to Travelers Indemnity Insurance Company for the district's cyber liability insurance coverage. Item 49 is the introduction of ordinance number 16605, awarding a contract to AIG Specialty Insurance Company for the district's Owner's Pollution Protective Insurance Program coverage. Item 50 is the introduction of ordinance number 16606, awarding a contract to Markle American Insurance Company for the district's Contractors Equipment Inland Marine Insurance Program coverage. Item 51 is the introduction of ordinance number 16607, awarding a contract to Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America for the district's commercial crime insurance coverage. Item 52 is the introduction of ordinance number 16608, awarding a contract to Federal Insurance for the district's fiduciary liability insurance coverage first layer. Item 53 is the introduction of ordinance number 16609, to award a contract to Travelers Casualty and Surety Companies for the district's fiduciary liability insurance coverage second layer. Item 54 is the introduction of ordinance number 16610 to award a contract to Midwest Employers Casualty Company for the district's excess workers' compensation insurance coverage. Item 55 is is the introduction of ordinance number 16611, awarding a contract to Missouri Underground Storage Tank Fund for the district's underground storage tank insurance coverage. Item 56 is the introduction of ordinance number 16612, authorizing the district to execute all documents necessary to procure flood insurance from the National Flood Insurance Program, again for July 1st through June 30th, for building and contents at certain specified district locations. And item 57 is the introduction of ordinance number 16613, awarding a contract to Iron Shore Specialty Insurance Company for the district's major facility pollution liability insurance coverage. So for those items, 41 through 57, is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Excuse me. Now we will move to resolutions. The first one is item 58, which is the adoption of Resolution 3952, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Kim W. Osterloh for his 36 years of exemplary service to the district from January 30th, 1989 to his retirement effective May 1st, 2025. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Item 59 is the adoption of Resolution 3953, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Leslie A. Sawyer for her 21 years of exemplary service to the district from April 6, 2004 to her retirement effective May 1st, 2025. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Item 60 is the adoption of Resolution number 3954, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Joseph G. Reiser for his 11 years of exemplary service to the district from June 3rd, 2013 to his retirement effective May 1st, 2025. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Item 61 is the adoption of Resolution number 3955 to exercise option year 3 of the contract previously authorized by ordinance 15928, adopted June 9th, 2022, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Armanino to provide internal audit services for the district. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kistner.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
And item 62, the adoption of Resolution 3956 to transfer sums of monies from the Stormwater Revenue Fund 3307 and any monies hereinafter received by Fund 5120. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Kistner.
Aye.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
All right, and with that, Mr. Chair, there is no further business.
No further
this
business.
meeting.
I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
No objection. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one, guys. Thank you.
and gentlemen, I will now call to order the public hearing held by the Board of Trustees of the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District. I would like to thank those members of the public who are attending this evening. We certainly appreciate your interest. An electronic recording of these proceedings will be made. I am Richard Wilson, the Chair of the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District Board of Trustees. Here this evening is the Vice Chair, Trustee Greg Nickerson. This hearing has been held on the district's fiscal year 2026 proposed budget, proposed capital improvement and replacement program, CRRP, user charges, and tax rates. This hearing follows the public trustee committee meetings held in March and May to review the proposed budget, the capital improvements replacement program, and tax rates for the upcoming fiscal year. The purpose of this hearing is to offer the public the opportunity to understand and comment on the district's proposed budget and taxes for the coming year. The Board of Trustees will accept additional written comments until Thursday, May 22nd. The proposed tax rates and budget ordinance were formally introduced at our regularly scheduled monthly meeting held earlier this evening. The final adoption of the tax and budget ordinances is tentatively scheduled for the board meeting on June 12th, 2025. Mr. Berthol, will you proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to note for the record that a notice of this hearing was posted in the following publications: the St. Louis American, St. Louis Business Journal, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and posted on MSD's website. I offer affidavits of publication notice for the official record of this hearing. We may begin the presentation. I would now like to present a brief overview of the state of the district and the budget for the coming year. As a public organization fulfilling an essential public need, we have an obligation to serve and be accountable to our ratepayers. With that in mind, voters residing within the boundaries of the district approved a series of MSD-sponsored proposals on the November 2000 ballot. These proposals represented a series of amendments to MSD's original charter, which was adopted in 1954. Among the amendments that voters approved in 2000 was a requirement for a continuing 5-year strategic business and operating plan to be adopted on an annual basis by the district's Board of Trustees. Mission, vision, value statements are important pieces of a strategic business plan. The district vision statement, quality service always, points to the district's ideal purpose. The district's mission statement, to protect the public's health, safety, and water environment by responsibly providing wastewater and stormwater management, keeps the district focused on its essential role in the St. Louis community. The value stated in the strategic business and operating plan serves as the principles that shape our actions and guide the organization as we fulfill our mission. As shown on this and the next slide, MSD values integrity, teamwork, innovation, employees, and customers. Goals are essential ingredients necessary for the success of the district. The strategic business and operating plan has 4 goals. They are: deliver consistent, high-quality customer service, comply with all legal and regulatory requirements and schedules, minimize customer rate increases, and be accountable to the St. Louis community. To achieve the goals of the strategic business and operating plan, we developed 6 strategies. The strategies identify initiatives that are critical to fulfilling the district's mission and vision. They are: inform, educate, and partner to build stakeholder understanding, manage the district's costs and revenues to optimize financial impacts, integrate and improve the district's business processes, promote appropriate standards through proactive regulatory and legislative involvement, address customer and regulatory needs through a comprehensive infrastructure management program, and create a learning and business-oriented culture based on consistency and accountability. The strategic business and operating plan is tied to the budgeting process to ensure that initiatives are properly funded. If fiscal constraints require reduced funding for the plan, the costs of strategic objectives are identified so that proper decisions can be made. The district had several highlights in fiscal year 25, including another award-winning year thanks to the efforts of our treatment plant teams. 6 of our wastewater treatment facilities received the highest honor from the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, or NACWA, for excellence in compliance with our National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit. The Peak Performance Award is given only to facilities with 5 or more consecutive years of perfect compliance. 2 of those plants, Coldwater Creek and Lime, achieved that for the first time in recent memory. I can assure you this is no small feat. We also continued momentum eliminating wastewater overflow points, or SSOs, in the service area, which is a major component of our agreement with the EPA and the Missouri Coalition for the Environment. As of today, just 19 known wastewater overflow points still exist in MSD's service area. For context, 40 years ago, that number was roughly 600. It's also been a busy year for educating the public, especially our stakeholders and municipal partners, about what happens now that the district is collecting funds for stormwater improvements across the service area. We have developed interactive tools to help non-residential customers understand their stormwater service charges and notify us if there are changes. We've hosted or joined countless public meetings to further that understanding. And we're also developing new, easy-to-understand resources for residential customers who will begin paying a new property tax for stormwater improvements at the end of this calendar year. All this leads us today and our key initiatives as we look ahead at fiscal year 2026. First and foremost, there will be extensive continued efforts to educate the public on our stormwater capital program, how projects are determined, and expectations for the future. We're also in the early stages of planning for the next rate commission process and what that will look like as we prepare for what will be 2 of the largest capital improvement projects the district has ever undertaken, 16 miles of new tunnels under the River de Pere and its tributaries. We are also making headway on several new initiatives aimed at increasing the understanding of who we are as an agency, the services we provide, and the role everyone in the region plays in protecting public health, safety, and the water environment. The fiscal year 2026 budget anticipates funding 1,029 positions. How well we serve our customers is a strong measure of MSD's success. Thus, we are committed to being staffed at a level that is appropriate for the community's needs, yet makes responsible use of the resources entrusted to us by the public. Our current staffing levels allow us to fulfill that commitment. The fiscal year 2026 budget contains operating expenses of $273.4 million, with $242.4 million for wastewater expenditures and $31 million for stormwater expenditures. CIRP of $567.4 million, with $529.6 million for wastewater projects and $37.8 million for stormwater projects. Debt service of $275.8 million, resulting in a total district expenses of $1,116.6 million. The wastewater service charge ordinance adopted on June 13, 2024, will increase the typical monthly single-family residential charge for wastewater service based on 5 CCFs from $61.04 to $65.66 per month. This represents a 7.6% increase or $4.62 increase per month. I will now ask Marion G., MSD's Director of Finance, to provide additional detail regarding the expenditures for the upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you, Brett. I will now present the proposed general fund expenditures for fiscal year 2026. The general fund portion of the budget represents the expenses related to the day-to-day operation of the district. The total general fund operating budget for FY26, including incremental expenses, is $254.6 million, an increase of $11.9 million or 4.9% from the FY25 budget. The general fund operating budget consists of 5 major categories. The proposed personnel services budget for the 2026 fiscal year totals $138.3 million, or 54% of the general fund budget, which is $9.2 million, or 7.2% higher than the current fiscal year 25 budget year. The district is proposing a $25.7 million supplies budget for fiscal year 2026, which comprises 10% of the general fund budget. This proposed supply budget represents a $1.9 million increase or an 8.4% change from the current fiscal year's budget. Utilities represent 7% or $17.4 million of the fiscal year 2026 proposed general fund budget. This represents a $448,000 decrease or a 2.5% reduction from the current year's budget. Contractual services budgeted for fiscal year 2026 are $67.4 million, or 27% of the general fund budget, and reflects a 2.5% or a $1.7 million increase from the fiscal year 25 budget. Capital outlay totals $5.7 million, representing 2% of the district's proposed general fund budget. The capital outlay budget for fiscal year 2026 decreased by $514,000, or 8.3% compared to fiscal year 25. Additional details covering the district's general fund budget may be found in the general fund section of the fiscal year 2026 budget document. The preliminary document is available on MSD's website. The following table provides a comparison of the district's projected operating and maintenance costs for FY26 through FY28 to the current rate plan. This plan was recommended by the MSD Rate Commission on September the 5th, 2023, and accepted by the district's Board of Trustees on November the 9th, 2023. As indicated, the district's 4-year operations and maintenance expenses are projected to be $1.1 billion compared to $1.1 billion outlined in the rate plan. This represents a $26.8 million or 2.5% increase. This concludes the general fund expense portion of the budget presentation. Kim Snoke, the district secretary treasurer, will provide a review of the district's debt service obligations anticipated for the 2026 fiscal year budget. Kim.
Thank you, Marion. I will now present the proposed debt service expenditures for fiscal year 2026. The district successfully obtained voter approval between February 2004 and April 2021 for $3.12 billion of bond issuances. All of these authorizations were fully utilized. On April 2nd, 2024, voters authorized the district to issue another $750 million, and the district has issued $299.4 million to date against this authorization. In fiscal year 2026, the budget anticipates the district will issue $82.5 million against its bond authorization. The total debt service expense proposed for fiscal year 2026 is $275.8 million. The expense of $275.8 million represents the debt service payments due in fiscal year 2026, plus $122 million in refunding associated with certain bonds originally issued in 2016. The following table provides a comparison of the district's projected debt service cost to the 2023 rate plan for fiscal years 25 through fiscal year 28. As indicated, the district's four-year debt service expenses are projected to be $614 million compared to $727 million outlined in the rate plan. This represents a $113.1 million or 15.6% decrease from the rate plan projections. The decrease in debt service is due to refinancing of debt at lower interest rates and issuances of debt at lower market rates than projected in the rate plan. This concludes the debt service portion of the budget presentation. Rich Unverfurth, Director of Engineering, will now provide a review of the anticipated capital improvement and replacement program for the 2026 fiscal year. Rich?
Thank you, Tim. The following slides contain a review fiscal year 2026 Capital Improvement and Replacement Program, or CRP. The budget supplement, which provides details of the capital program. I will review a program summary, a continued projects list summary, a contingency list summary, and discuss some of the benefits of the capital program. This presentation is based on the final budget supplement and updates the information presented to the district's Finance Committee on April 1st, 2025. It matches the information presented to the district's Finance Committee on April 29th, 2025. The fiscal year 2026 CRP consists of 118 new wastewater and stormwater projects, budgeted at a total of $548 million. These projects include engineering, construction, and vendor services necessary to deliver the capital program. Together with 8 projects totaling $19.7 million carried over from fiscal year 2025, the total budget for the fiscal year 2026 capital improvement program is $567 million. The final budget supplement includes a net increase of 3 new project budget items from what was noted in the preliminary budget. Program changes have resulted in a net decrease of $3 million in total new project budgeting. Changes in the program between the final and preliminary budgets represents normal scheduling and cost estimating changes that occur as projects progress through the design and easement acquisition process. No new stormwater engineering projects budget items have been added since the preliminary was prepared. 1 new stormwater construction project has been added. 4 new wastewater engineering budget items have been added. In addition, 3 new wastewater construction budget items have been added as well. New items will be detailed in the next few slides. Specific information regarding the new projects can be found in the fiscal year 2026 CRP budget supplement document, which is posted on the MSD website in the budget section. 5 items have been removed since the preliminary budget was published. 4 were no longer needed, and 1 was rescheduled to the next fiscal year. For continued projects, no stormwater projects were added or deleted. 9 wastewater projects were removed from the continued list, and 4 new ones were added. Overall, the capital program for fiscal year 2026 has decreased by about $32 million from the preliminary budget presented to the board on April 1st. 7 new wastewater projects have been added since the preliminary budget. These are the CSO Brentwood and Redbud Avenue CSO Interceptor elimination and sewer separation. This will be a supplemental construction appropriation. The L51 pump station force main improvements. This also is a supplemental construction appropriation. The Jefferson Barracks Creek Sanitary Relief Project. This will be a reimbursement agreement for funding to the Veterans Affairs Administration to construct a portion of sewer work needed for this project. The South 2nd Street 3300 combined sewer repair. This will be a new design service for 2 major combined sewer repair projects. The Fillmore Pump Station Rehabilitation Project. This will provide supplemental funding for engineering during construction. The Lower Merrimack Wastewater Treatment Facility Expansion Phase 2. This will provide supplemental funding for construction management services during that project. Earlsfield Sanitary Relief and Kingston Pump Station. This will provide supplemental funding for design services. One new project has been added since the preliminary budget. Stormwater Small Capital Project Construction for 2026. This will provide new funding for small capital improvement projects on the stormwater system to be addressed utilizing the district's small contractor program. There are 8 continued budget items at a total cost of $20 million included in the fiscal year 2026 capital program. 2 of these projects have been delayed to allow time for required coordination with other agencies and property owners. 2 have been delayed due to easement acquisition process, and 2 have been delayed due to design revisions or other required rebidding. 2 of the projects have been delayed due to construction progress, so a total of 9 projects were able to proceed, no longer needed to be continued, and 4 were added to the list. There are 25 contingency project budget items detailed in the fiscal year 2026 budget. 7 of these are for wastewater projects or will provide supplemental funding for ongoing wastewater projects. These are budgeted in fiscal year 27 at $179 million. 8 more are stormwater projects totaling $4 million. These projects could be expedited to fiscal year 2026 if schedules allow for funding and funding becomes available. Funding becomes available typically if other projects are delayed or if construction costs come in under original budget. 2 wastewater contingency budget items were removed from the contingency list and added to our regular fiscal year 2026 budget since the preliminary budget was presented. 2 new stormwater contingency projects have also been added. The 2 new stormwater contingency projects that have been added since the preliminary budget are the Tweed Drive Storm Sewer Phase 2. This is new construction funding for this project. The Eulena Avenue 5042 Storm Sewer. This is also new construction funding for this project. The district's fiscal year 2026 capital program addresses issues throughout the district's service area. Wastewater projects are noted in red. Stormwater projects are shown in blue. Projects that serve the entire district or substantial portions of it are noted in the table in the left-hand corner of this map. The numbers on the map reference the specific page numbers of the project in the CRP budget supplement. This document will be available on the district's website after adoption. This map is also included in the preface of the budget supplement document. Now, some of the benefits of the fiscal year 2026 capital improvement program are as follows. We continue to comply with our consent decree efforts. We continue the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure program. We address building backups and system surcharging. Projects will remove 3 additional sanitary sewer overflow structures. The program will rehabilitate approximately 30 miles of sanitary and combined sewers. It will continue the construction of the Bissell and Lime wastewater treatment facility fluidized bed incinerator projects. It will implement the stormwater grant program for all municipalities and will continue the stormwater grant program in 3 OMCI's area. I thank you for your attention. This presentation, handouts, and accompanying script we posted on the district's website for your access. I will now turn the program back over to Director of Finance, Marion G.
Thank you, Rich. I will now present the district's sources and uses of funding to support the proposed expenditures for fiscal year 2026. For fiscal year 2026, MSD will collect one type of user charge, a wastewater user charge. The proposed wastewater user charges for fiscal year 2026 are expected to generate $552.2 million in revenue to be used for the operations, debt service, and wastewater infrastructure improvements and replacement purposes. This revenue will fund the following components of the district's 2026 budget: an operating budget of $264.3 million, debt service of $158.4 million, CRP of $129.5 million, for a total of $552.2 million. This chart outlines the components of the wastewater user charge anticipated to drive the majority of the district's revenue in the upcoming year. The column on the left describes the type of charge, and the column on the right indicates the rate for each component of the total wastewater user charge that will be effective on July 1st, 2025. The first component of the wastewater user charge consists of a $32.41 monthly base charge paid by all customers. Customers are also billed on the volume of water receiving sanitary treatment. For properties without a water meter, the fiscal year 2026 volume charge is based on water usage associated with the following property attributes: a room charge of $3.38 per room per month, a water closet charge of $12.63 per month, bath or shower charge of $10.81 per month. The volume charge for those customers with a water meter is based on increments of 100 cubic feet of water usage, or CCF. The fiscal year 2026 metered wastewater volume charge is $6.65 per CCF used. The metered volume for single-family residential customers will continue to be based on average winter quarter water usage, as this method provides the most accurate measurement of water actually entering the sewer system by not including water used in the spring and summer to fill pools, water lawns, wash cars, for example. The FY26 rate adjustment will be effective July 1st of 2025. The monthly wastewater bill for the typical single-family residential MSD customer using 5 CCFs of water will be $65.66. A monthly compliance charge is paid by all commercial and industrial customers. The compliance charge consists of 5 tiers based on testing and sampling requirements to determine the quality of water outflow. In FY26, effective July 1st, 2025, the charge for Tier 1 is $7.76. Tier 2 is $116.28. Tier 3 is $248.06. Tier 4, $387.59. And Tier 5, $519.36. 96% of approximately 24,000 commercial accounts are billed at the Tier 1 rate. The district's wastewater user charge also includes extra strength surcharges, which only apply to industrial users. The district currently assesses 3 extra strength surcharges, each with specific thresholds. These charges are applied to treat sewage with extra strength waste over and above the amount predefined as normal strength wastewater generated by a typical residential household. Each of the 3 rates will be effective July 1st, 2025. The first of the 3 extra strength surcharges is applied to remove extra strength suspended solids greater than 300 milligrams per liter. The suspended solids surcharge for fiscal year 2026 will be $726.04 per ton. The second extra strength surcharge is applied to treat water with extra strength biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD, greater than 300 milligrams per liter. The BOD surcharge for fiscal year 2026 will be $1,121.28 per ton. The third extra strength surcharge is applied to treat water with extra strength chemical oxygen demand, or COD, greater than 600 milligrams per liter. The COD surcharge for fiscal year 2026 will be $560.65 per ton. Non-residential customers are charged a stormwater user charge per month based on impervious surface area. The fiscal year 2026 stormwater user charge will be $1.05 per 1,000 square foot of impervious surface area. This charge became effective on January 1st, 2025, and it is expected to generate $16.9 million of revenue in fiscal year 2026. The district plans to receive $204.6 million from the sale of revenue bonds during fiscal year 2026. Proceeds of $82.5 million from these bonds will be used to fund the district's CIRP, and $122.1 million of proceeds will be used to refund existing bonds. To fund stormwater activities, MSD collects taxes. This revenue will fund the following components of the district's 2026 budget: an operating budget of $25.8 million, CIRP of $32.9 million, for a total of $58.7 million. Investment income and other fees will fund $28.1 million of proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. This revenue will fund the following components: an operating budget of $6.5 million, debt service of $0.4 million, CIRP of $21.3 million, for a total of $28.1 million. The district's beginning fund balance is projected to equal approximately $647.7 million at June 30th, 2025. The impact of the fiscal year 2026 budget will decrease the fund balance by $256.1 million. A decrease of $284.2 million will occur in the capital project funds. Fund balance will increase by $23.2 million due to operating activities and $5 million for debt service funds. As a result, the district's total fund balance is projected to be $391.7 million at the end of fiscal year 2026. In total, funding for the fiscal year 2026 is anticipated to equal $1,116.6 million. These revenues are sufficient to fully fund the expenditures proposed this evening and provide a balanced budget for fiscal year 2026 as required by Section 7.130 of the district's plan. A proposed budget ordinance to this effect was introduced earlier this evening at the meeting of the district's Board of Trustees. The proposed budget ordinance will only include appropriations for fiscal year 2026 operations and debt service. Appropriations for the proposed CIRP projects outlined this evening will be introduced throughout the year as projects are bid and firm contract prices are established. Mr. Tim Snoke, the District Secretary Treasurer, will now present the proposed taxes for the 2026 fiscal year.
Thank you, Marion. This portion of the budget hearing concerns the proposed taxes and is being held in compliance with Section 7.320 of the Plan of the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District in order for the Board of Trustees to make a final determination of the amount of taxes which shall be levied, assessed, and collected on taxable tangible property in the district and its sub-districts during the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. The Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District will require for the administration of the district during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, general ad valorem tax revenue in the sum of $6,530,436. I recommend that the amount of taxes to be levied, assessed, and collected in the year 2025 on all taxable tangible property in the district be at a rate of $0.0162 or 1.62 cents per $100 assessed valuation for residential property, agricultural property, commercial property, and personal property. Of this total sum, $933,061 should be levied, assessed, and collected on all taxable tangible property within the corporate limits of the city of St. Louis, and $5,597,375 should be levied, assessed, and collected on all taxable tangible property within the corporate limits of St. Louis County, lying within the metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District. The Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District will require during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, general ad valorem tax revenue in the sum of $32,673,615 for the operations of the district's stormwater utility, including stormwater system operation and maintenance, rehabilitation, and limited construction of infrastructure and other capital improvements, and an operating reserve. I recommend that the amount of taxes to be levied, assessed, and collected in the year 2025 on all taxable tangible property in the district be at a rate of $0.0835 or 8.35 cents per $100 assessed valuation for residential property, agricultural property, commercial property, and personal property. Of this sum, $4,809,296 should be levied, assessed, and collected on all taxable tangible property within the corporate limits of the city of St. Louis, and $27,864,319 should be levied, assessed, collected on all taxable tangible property within the corporate limits of St. Louis County, lying within the metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District. Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District will require during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, general ad valorem tax revenue in the sum of $18,021,637 for the funding of the district's stormwater projects to address flooding and erosion. I recommend that the amount of taxes to be levied, assessed, and collected in the year 2025 on all taxable tangible property in the district be at a rate of $0.0745 or 7.45 cents per $100 assessed valuation for residential property. Of this sum, $2,201,544 should be levied, assessed, and collected on all taxable tangible property within the corporate limits of the city of St. Louis, and $15,820,093 should be levied, assessed, and collected on all taxable tangible property within the corporate limits of St. Louis County, lying within the metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District. The combined district-wide taxes levied are projected to be $57,225,688. In the various other taxing subdistricts, as outlined on this chart, the district will require ad valorem tax revenues in fiscal year 2026 for operation, maintenance, and construction of improvements in 3 of these subdistricts. I recommend that the various levies for the 3 sub-districts be set in accordance with the chart, which shows $1,450,836 at varying rates from $0.133 or 1.3 cents to $0.0235 or 2.4 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for residential property, agricultural property, commercial property, and personal property lying in each of these 3 subdistricts, which are included in this chart and the budget document. For the remaining 12, I recommend that the various levies for the district be set to 0 in accordance with the chart, which shows rates of $0.00 or 0 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for the residential property, agricultural property, commercial property, and personal property lying in each of these 12 subdistricts, which are included in this chart and the budget document. Trustee Wilson, this concludes the presentation of the 2025 proposed tax rates and the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We will now begin the public participation portion of our hearing on the proposed budget, proposed capital improvement and replacement program, user charges, and tax rates. Are there any members of the public? Okay. With no members of the public to speak, I wish to thank you for your comments. Chairman of the Board of Trustees has appointed a committee to develop a finding of fact and by ordinance to determine the amount of taxes that should be levied on taxable tangible property in 2025 for revenue during the coming fiscal year. The committee will be composed of trustees Nicholas Eisen, Wabi, and me. The committee will submit the finding of fact to the full board at the June 12th Board of Trustees meeting. This concludes the formal portion of this hearing. Thank you.